Alright, back on Sargasso, basically.
We will not lose your friends. So, if Ratchet is an alternate dimension me, and Clank is an alternate dimension you, were we meant to team up too? They do seem...
It was a bit delayed.
Together. Yeah.
Yes.
Guess being on my own is just what I'm used to. Me too.
I'm guessing the game probably wants to leave it a bit up to, you know, open debate on whether or not Rivet was always a part of, you know, Ratchet's race, or she is legit his alternate universe counterpart.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of the questions that's never answered properly. We only know that she doesn't. We only know that she doesn't know of her parentage, and she was raised by the Morts on Sargasso.
Convenient setup for a potential trilogy, no doubt.
Speaking of Sargasso, again, we're here, and Nefarious is attacking. The map is virtually not changed much, it's just, you know, stuff that you need to do, but it's different.
The Emperor despises lemonade! Nothing should be sour and sweet!
Wow, Emperor has terrible taste.
I've yet to taste a lemonade that is actually sweet.
Oh yeah, there are quite a few that combine those two.
Anyway, new weapon, the Black Hole Storm. It's a Gatling gun. No, really, that's literally what it is.
Huh. Weird that they call it the Black Hole Storm. That kind of makes you think of something that, you know, creates, well, black holes.
That's because the projectiles are made of antimatter, if I recall correctly.
But Treasure Planet told me that black holes come from a star devolving.
Yeah, maybe later. Don't have enough balls yet. Alright,
sorry, I don't exactly have the bolts to spare now, do I?
Even in this far future, you know, the economy still takes priority. Although, again, it's in another one of the cases of the game trying to soften up, quote-unquote, the more aggressive capitalistic satire of the early games. Here it's for a good cause, it's for, you know, Zirkle Jr.'s graduation, you know, studies.
Although, to keep it somewhat in with the capitalism thing, that probably still has to do with the fact that the economy is, you know...
Yeah, it's more of a case
not
that...
the best.
It's more like the case of, the classic case also in RPGs that, you're, you know, part of a big resistance that has to fight, you know, in this case the Emperor, and it's vital that having top-of-the-line equipment, we're still gonna make you pay for that.
Damn straight.
Has become even more dangerous with the Dimensionator.
So, what exactly is the Emperor doing with the Dimensionator? I guess drawing in more guards from across the multiverse?
That's what I was gonna say, fucking around.
That's literally like what he's doing. For now, he wants to toy with Rivet, and to an extent also Ratchet. Mostly because, again, we have to remember, by all accounts, he kinda has won already in advance. You know, remember, this whole thing is about the rebellion trying to upstage him. It's not a case where they need to conquer territories or something, they need to take him directly. So he really doesn't have any more things to do rather than just fuck around.
And I guess now he... I'll admit, he surprisingly took nicer to Nefarious, kind of taking over his position while he was away more than I thought he would.
That's because, as it will be shown later, he loves to keep him around to have someone to bully.
Figured.
Which is kind of depressing for Dr. Nefarious, considering the whole thing about his backstory is that he has kind of a trauma from being bullied by Quark.
Again, I do think one... that one's special. But yeah, no, I think, again, one issue I kind of do take with Nefarious being seen as, you know, ineffectual compared to this Emperor is, like, again, Nefarious is not exactly a no-threat sort of villain and whatnot. Like, again, the implication seems to be that the only reason he hasn't become this successful is because, well, because of Ratchet and Clank, since... okay, Rivet, as far as I know, maybe was part of a resistance, but she didn't have the same combo that Ratchet and Clank have, essentially, since, again, many things, especially since the Future series kicked off, have come together to imply that Ratchet and Clank were like the chosen two, essentially. The two who were basically destined and were the specific components needed to save the galaxy and all that jazz.
It's
So,
more,
again-
well, you're partially correct, but it's more than just that, all more in due time.
Oh, hello.
Wagon. Put a lot of thought into it. I hope you don't mind I watch from a distance. I'm just exhausted from eliminating your allies.
Also, yeah, Paige,
How awful for you.
Did I told you the time that I had to voice Zazu for the 9K remake? That was awful.
Okay.
And your fellow rebels will soon be a memory, along with this sludgy excuse for a planet.
And yet, I hear you'll probably return for the sequel.
Oh, that
prequel.
That was bad. Yeah.
Yeah, keep laughing. We'll see how you feel when we free the Seekerpede. Threatening me over holograms. Classic. Instilling fear from a distance is a common tool of oppressors.
Yeah, I can't imagine how that might be relatable to these days.
Getting closer to the Seekerpede. Let's keep pushing forward.
Lord, again, the more we get into the future, the more it feels like anything that was meant to be spoof or satire is now becoming tame compared to reality.
Or that someone thought it was, not a cautionary tale, but inspirational instead.
I mean, the ironic thing is some of these are supposed to be, just this or that, but then it ends up becoming a cautionary tale in hindsight. Hey look, Asimov didn't raise and try to kill no quitters, okay?
Uh-huh, sure.
Is it expensive?
Yes, in expansion DLC.
I don't think we're getting any.
This game did have technically a DLC that was considered like a pre-order bonus, but it was really just a case of unlock this weapon before instead of, very new game plus. So,
On the one hand, on the one hand, I'm glad they didn't, of course, resort to the infamous fact of, oh, DLC actually completes the experience, but I do find it weird that Rift Apart didn't take advantage of, the potential with DLC.
That's because, remember, at the time, Insomniac was developing at the same time, if I recall correctly, the Miles Morales games, and right after development of this, ceased, they were done, they immediately went to Spider-Man 2. Both teams, if I recall correctly. So,
yeah, that would make sense.
I
could see Sony prioritizing them heavily on that.
Again, that one was supposed to have DLC episodes, but they got scrapped. It also has, if I recall correctly, the side quest with the one character that was supposed to cameo in Across the Spider-Verse, but her role was cut away for some reason.
Which one?
The bartender that Miles talks with, I forgot who is called. Again, Across the Spider-Man in itself feels like a bit of a mystery to me in the way it was developed and how it continues the story of Into the Spider-Verse.
A nefarious dropship. Sure, why not?
Then also Insomniac wanted to make, not wanted, but was told to make that that Spider-Verse, not Spider-Verse, but Spider-Man licensed, not licensed, game as a service title, using all variants of Spider-Man for its main characters, but that was also scrapped after, the Great Concord disaster of 2023 or 4? I forgot even the year when it came out.
You mean Concord?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that was 2024.
Yeah, that year then. So, and now we just don't know what Insomniac is doing outside of a Wolverine game, so we have to hope that actually feels more, steady in its release. We'll have to, that's what we'll have to find out.
Speaking of Spider-Verse, I will give Insomniac credit for what must have been a painful experience making, how the Spider-Verse skins operate in game, with the slowed down frame rate, but still managing to, keep in time with the game.
Well, don't forget when they already developed, something akin to that with the pixelizer, so maybe they already had some kind of experience on unconventional, way the model is presented on screen. Either that, or they actually asked feedback to the actual animator of the movie. So.
Speaking of the Spider-Verse zones and issues with them, boy howdy guys, I'm so glad that we decided to split Across the Spider-Verse into a two-parter. I'm sure we'll get that follow-up sequel any day.
I'd rather have that than being forced to do everything in one movie, which will mean less plot, more confusing the way it's handled, and more crunch, and abuse to the actual animators.
I will say my issue, and sadly there was still crunch with Across the Spider-Verse, but my main issue is just the fact that Across the Spider-Verse feels like it was at a proper ending, but then they decided to artificially inflate the plot, whereas the whole thing with Prower Miles feels like it could have just been its own movie, and yes, I know some will say it is technically, but what I mean is like, we could have wrapped up the thing with the Spot in Across the Spider-Verse.
Well,
I feel
they
like
still did left clearly the idea of Miguel not being done, technically, so...
Yeah, again, my issue is just that it feels stretched out, like, again, and I'm hoping we actually do get a proper conclusion. I know they say we will, but holy cow, that thing's getting drawn out. And yeah, it has sadly shown a spotlight on how Lord and Miller might not be the best filmmakers that we made them out to be, sadly. Or at the very least...
let's have the one gameplay section with Kit in the entire game. Her actually, there you go, having to work around in the same type of puzzle solving that Clank had.
So Kit can do this too, after all. I thought they kind of made it a point that this was a thing specifically for Clank, but I guess to be fair, if Kit's like his multiversal counterpart, then that explains why she can do it.
Quantum causality and all.
Again, it's like I say, I feel like sometimes the game knows what it wants to do with the multiversal bit, and other bits it's kind of just defaulting to just the simple...
don't forget about the fact that if Ratchet and Rivet were supposed to have fairly different gameplay styles, to begin, at the beginning, I get the idea they might have wanted to do something similar between Clank and Kit, but at the end of the day they just decided to leave it at that because that would have felt, too consuming for them.
It's like you've mentioned before, it might also be a result of whatever developmental issues were going on with Rift Apart. I'm curious, was Rift Apart a similar case to the 7 remake where the studio kind of had wanted to do it, but they were waiting for the right moment? Or was Rift Apart a case where Insomniac had been wanting to do it, but then Sony, they had to wait for Sony to give the green light, so when Sony finally did, they were... okay.
So, I don't know what to tell you.
Again, let me reiterate, Rift Apart is by no means a bad experience, and I dare say it's probably the best experience we've gotten in a while from the series. It's just a case...
While it doesn't have the same length as, A Crack in Time, it's the one that comes the closest to have that kind of, epic in scope type of adventure. Not to say that the others were not having that much high stakes. I argue into the Nexus at a pretty high stake. It was just that in terms of, you know, epic journey going through, this is the closest we got since.
Oh yeah, it's like, you know, it feels like, you know, obviously with the original trilogy, they escalated each bit and bit to the point where we got to Up Your Arsenal, where, yes, we were pretty much at outright war, and Crack in Time does feel like possibly the biggest thing with the biggest stakes, and arguably all of reality, at least as far as we knew it at the time, was at stake with the big clock and whatnot, and also them bringing back Nefarious, who was pretty much the definitive big bad and all. It does feel like some other games since then have kind of been trying to capture the same magic as a Crack in Time, while I do get the feeling having less time to work on it as much. Like we've mentioned, yeah, All for One is criminally short, and Into the Nexus, while not quite as short, does feel a bit
it was more
flaccid in some cases.
It was more full frontal slots Q-Force, which was criminally short. All for One had a decent enough length, but it was more contained experience on a single planet and its moon, basically.
That is a fair bit, yeah. Q-Force was insanely short, to the point where, again, it feels weird that they... Okay, maybe they didn't charge full price for that game, but even still, it felt maybe longer than Quest for Booty, but it felt on par for Quest for Booty with how shockingly short it is, which is not a compliment.
Alright, let's get out of here.
Well done, Kit.
Through
You've
the
learned well.
through the James Bond gun barrel.
Alright, time for the $1 million question.
As we have been destined to be.
Is that what you think is happening?
I do not know. With Ratchet, we worked well together, but I was always worried about disappointing him, and I still am with Rivet. But it also feels like we already know each other.
Well, destiny
It's
or
convenient.
not, I hope Rivet realizes how lucky she is to have you.
Wow, the telegraphing is so fucking hard.
Okay, like, don't get me wrong, we've been joking about how it's Rivet and Kit, but...
It's worth noting also,
I mean-
remember the fact that Gary is the adopted son of the plumber, so he's kind of a meta guy. He knows more about stuff than he should.
But you do have a point that it feels a little too telegraphed, at least for my liking.
No,
it's
not. And what I'm talking about the telegraphing is the fact. Remember, the entire backstory of Kit is that she mysteriously injured someone, and that's what was her prompt of changing, into a good person. So.
Oh man, yeah. Again, Teal, it could be anyone she's injured. By the way, Rivet, how's that prosthetic arm of yours doing?
I'm nuclear. I'm wild. I'm breaking up inside.
Tell me, Rivet, do you succumb to the phantom pain?
Yeah.
The what?
Yes, it is with my sincere, deepest regret to inform you that they actually picked our chords like a musical instrument.
Of course. And played us like a damn harpsichord! Or
Yeah.
something similar.
Let's go with that. There you go. The trick for this puzzle is to have the quantum possibilities jump instead of having to press the button.
And just like that, destiny is born by throwing a few energy balls.
Again, it's more around, don't try to wrap too much your head around this. Just think of the idea of evening the odds out of a theoretical infinite amount of possibilities.
It's also funny. It's funny you made the Metal Gear Solid reference earlier, considering Deborah Wilson was in the Metal Gear Solid game.
Oh, which one, actually? I forgot.
She was in 4, where she played Crying Wolf.
Right, one of the Beauty and Beast, whatever they're called.
These jerks will really find out who they're messing with, don't you know? Flush, please.
Nice work.
Alright, so the Morts will use the reconverted Seeker Pit to wreak a bit of havoc.
Nice.
However, we're not done.
I could be persuaded. Not exactly a straight line to the battle cruiser, but
Alright, it's time to break our spine some more with more hurl shots. Yeah, still not enough bolts.
How expensive is this college that your son's going to, ma'am?
It's a private school, so you know.
Oh, God. Okay, then. Duly noted.
I mean, with the Emperor's rises, I don't think public instruction is kind of a thing.
Presumably. Whee!
Sure. Yeah.
Team Nefarious. Oh my. God, now this has me imagining an alternate universe take on All for One where Emperor Nefarious has to swallow his pride and work with Rivet, Kit, and Quantum.
I guess. Honestly, I think
I always love it when you can interrupt what the enemy's saying.
mid-sentence, yes. The most recent Suda 51 game, Romeo is a dead man, lets you do that Asura's Wrath style by interrupting the first boss that you kill mid-speech while you're basically done with him and he's doing his final rant. It's pretty satisfying.
I know something like that happens in the Resident Evil 4 remake, but I don't think it's playable.
I love how in War for Cybertron you can interrupt certain conversations, and not just that, you can have the character you're playing as comment on said interruptions if you time them right as well.
Usually for this kind of things is the main character saying you talk too much.
Like, okay, for instance, when you're playing a Starscream in this one level in War for Cybertron, you can interrupt Sentinel Prime telling his soldiers to watch out for Decepticons, and if you time it just right, Starscream will say, just like that.
Who did they got to play Starscream for that? Steve Blum? Like in Prime?
Okay, so get this, Steve Blum is in the War for Cybertron series, but he starts off with voicing, of course, the narrator, since he sounds akin to the original narrator from G1, but for Fall of Cybertron, well, okay, in War of Cybertron, he voices first Barricade, essentially, you know, Decepticon who becomes a police car on Earth and whatnot. For Fall of Cybertron, he voices Shockwave, who is Starscream's rival, which is hilarious because he goes on to voice Starscream in the actual Prime series. No, the person who voices Starscream in the video games is Sam Riegel.
Oh, well, to be fair,
Too much my delight.
If there's anyone who can actually replicate, Starscream's shrilled voice from G1, that's him.
Oh, yes, I love Sam Riegel's take on it.
So,
Again,
yeah.
part is due to the fact that retroactively Prime was made in the same continuity as the War for Cybertron series. It was kind of something that they later found out by the time Fall of Cybertron was being made, so by that time they were able to make certain things line up better with the TV series, but they still kept most of the voice cast for those games the same.
So yeah, for the final session you have to pilot Trudy, again using the not very optimal in my opinion Dragon controls, in order to pick up some bombs, Geratonium bombs that the Morts made, and throw them at some more of the Emperor ships.
How nice. Well, time for another round of Panzer Dragoon Space Mission. Power to the people!
Tired of waiting. All cruisers increase beam strength to 120%.
basically wants to use a planet cracker, but because it's not like the one of the Death Star, it takes time and it requires a service approach, basically. That does remind me, apparently the Panzer Dragoon 2 remake is actually finally being made. There was a demo that came out recently, I guess I need to try it.
Better late than never, I guess.
Yeah. There we go.
Great shot, kid. That was
And
one
thus
in a
the Star
million.
Destroyer was destroyed.
I mean, you could say that again.
You did it. We did it. Oh, there they are. Hey! Rivet and Kit! Rivet and Kit!
You two are heroes now.
Yeah, I don't think that title's really going to catch on.
Mort, break out the lemonade. We're getting crazy tonight.
Is it hard lemonade?
What about Coke? You know having Coke?
Oh.
Another unlikely win just in time to cross you off the list. Off to Zordu prison you go. Oh, who needs
Yeah.
Let's spice things up.
How risque. So
Okay, I
interestingly
do
enough,
dig.
you're thrown in a pocket dimension, but this entire section is a cutscene instead of actually having you being playing it, because Rivet and Kit gets to talk a bit.
No, too far. Come on, Rips, work with me here.
You two seem to have a lot of history.
Yeah, you could say that. I've fought a long time to win our galaxy back. Lost friends, my arm.
The Emperor did that?
Oh, not exactly. It happened during a mission.
I wonder, guys.
So I tried to
Again,
save
this is clearly to me the weakest part of the whole plot. This very, very telegraphed kind of animosity that honestly I wouldn't mind if it was a thing that was explored more, clearly. But here it's just done with the clearest, the most classic kind of, misunderstanding / lie reveal cliche. And you already know the beats where this is gonna go with, it's convenient withdrawing or, not letting each other talk, misunderstanding, and then of course the parts that are separated will conveniently unite for the climax. Ryan
Yeah, I
Reigns
was just
repeat.
gonna. Yeah, I was just about to say, like, for the sake of maybe not spoiling it for the audience, and yeah, look, they got out
It's a
that
tired ass
easily,
cliche, the drawback. Like I said, you can see the beats coming a mile away. I'm sorry.
This is why I was going to ask, please tell me at least that it doesn't lead to the cliched second act breakup, but I guess it will.
Now, to be fair,
Rivet, you vanished for a second there. Are you okay?
but to be fair, the Morts did not notice because they were too busy getting high on lemonade. Good for them. Now, to be fair, Joba, as we will see later, they will actually try to explore this kind of motif instead of actually being too superficial about it, but your mileage may vary in judging the effort, basically.
I will say, I do feel if they didn't telegraph it as heavily, I probably wouldn't roll my eyes as much.
Yeah. Anyway, tuning instead next part where Ratchet, we pick up with Ratchet and we do what he was tasked for him to do, going to Ardolis, yes, really, in order to find Captain Quantum there. So see you for that.
See ya.
See you then.